and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMC Podcasting Network on YouTube to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the ring, all the backstage curtain calls, all the rumors, all the dramas. We talk about superstar inactive statuses, injury updates, their contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from WWE to Stardom to New Japan Professional Wrestling to TNA to NXT to Ring of Honor. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show. 1,010%, so do not be afraid to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the greatest wrestling podcast in the world. Also, make your dreams come true. Of course, if your dreams are to consume some free wrestling content. All right, without further ado, let's go and talk about some Maxwell, Jacob, Friedman, MJF, the best there is, the best there was. And nope, that was Red Hart. Just kidding. Moving on. But I love MJF. I love what MJF's doing on AEW. On AEW, he's the it boy. He's the it boy. Him, with this match with Hangman Adam Page at AEW Revolution, you literally saw the future of AEW inside the ring fighting against each other. It was a nice little well-fought match, technical, down to the point. You had MJF, pander to the crowd a little bit, get them all riled up. And that's something that, obviously, that's what he does best. There's nobody who does it better than MJF. MJF recently appeared on the Sports Illustrated Media podcast with Jimmy Trina, the former AEW World Champion. He recently denied reports of making $15 million a year. He said this, and I quote, "The amount of money that I get by the time it is over surpasses $15 million. Which is good, which is exactly what he deserves. And he continued to say this, and I quote, he says, "I'm making top guy money, whether it would be on AEW contract or a WWE contract." MJF definitely emphasized how he is significantly younger than other top stars, in the industry. Like I was talking about earlier, WWE, you have Randy Orton, you have Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and then, you kind of have them, kind of topping out a little bit. Well, Cody and, they're young-ish. But, Roman Reigns, he's getting older. He's getting older in 1,010%. I feel like the piece that they were trying to push over, especially during the Vince McMahon era, Vince McMahon's last guy, Austin Theory, wasn't really good. AJ Styles getting older, almost retiring. The Undertaker gone, Kane gone. There's and then NXT, the only two top guys from NXT that I can imagine making an influence on WWE would probably be Trick Williams and Ethan Page. But that's just me. I feel like that would be the two guys that would, be like, oh, these guys could be like the next, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre. Like, they're getting all older, but they are relatively healthy. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Last year actually dealt with injuries. Right now, Damian Priest seems like he's also on his way up. So Carmelo Hayes being drafted from NXT, I feel like he could also make his way up to the top. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time right now. Right now, he's kind of dealing with his losses. But, eventually he will be a part of the main stage, the main card in terms of the WWE Championship. But, what MJF, he's 28 years old. That is absolutely 1,010% phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal what MJF has done ever since he's a generational talent. That's not much of a surprise. He said this as well, and I quote, "I won the bidding war. WWE didn't win the bidding war. AEW didn't win the bidding war. I won the bidding war because I make an absurd amount of money." That's pretty cool. Obviously, always count on MJF to constantly, feel like he's in a wrestling promo, during an interview, on stage, behind the scenes, on a documentary, and, the AEW All Access that's on HBO Max. Like, you can always count him to, like, stay in character. You see him on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter /X or whatever you like to call it. Him talking to fans and being disrespectful Like, that's just who MJF is. And it's, I definitely love how he sticks to his craft. I honestly feel like, and I do love Jon Moxley, and I did love Bryan Danielson's run. Swerve Strickland, one of my favorite wrestlers. But I really don't see a suitable champion for that AEW world title. And, that's not MJF. MJF is like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, all mixed into one. He's an amazing generational talent. But if you put the belt on, MJF, then, how are you going to be able to highlight all these other careers, all these other superstars that you signed with All Elite Wrestling, Ring of Honor, to see MLL, or, New Japan Professional Wrestling? There's a lot of, there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes that you need to fill before you let MJF be a champion again. And I really think Tony Khan is, setting that up. I mean, I kind of hope he is. Because, at this point, is MJF really wasting his prime in All Elite Wrestling? If he did sign a multi-million-dollar, contract to make $15 million plus a year working for All Elite Wrestling, is this really smart for MJF? But then again, I really don't see this guy accepting anything that isn't being the top guy. And if you see how MJF is on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, or whatever, or on PLEs, he really speaks for himself. He really does, 1,010%. But which Tony Khan, he has a lot of money. You've seen them throw money around. In that kind of retrospect. So so is Tony Khan. Did he have MJF sign a lucrative contract just to kind of keep him from signing with WWE? Does that make sense? Did he sign it for the good reasons? Will he win the AEW World Title before the 2025 year? Before it ends. What if he did sign with WWE? He would be a top guy immediately. He would run Monday Night Raw. The only person that would literally contend with him would probably be Cody Rhodes. And he would beat Cody Rhodes. He would beat CM Punk. He would beat Seth Rollins. Him and Roman Reigns would be probably one of the biggest dream matches in WWE, AEW, and professional wrestling history. That would be an amazing match to watch, because you have two. The moment MJF would ever leave AEW for WWE would mark the end of AEW as we know it. But, kind of having this guy that I bet you, WWE scouts have been scouting him. Nobody is MJF. Nobody. He's a generational talent. He's a single talent. He runs on his own. He's a match. He's a light in the dark alley. He literally is the future professional wrestler. The way he cuts promos, man. The way he gets under the fans' skin, he's, oh my gosh. Like I said, he's like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, CM Punk, and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart combined into one. He's literally that impressive. And that's something that the wrestling world needs. And that's something that AEW really, honestly could not afford to lose. If MJF, like I said, if MJF left AEW, it would cease to exist. Which is, kind of crazy, but, it is what it is. Like I said, he would run the Raw division easily. He would be the longest reigning WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And he's a student of the game. You can't, that's just something about MJF that you can't really hate on. He said he watched Elimination Chamber, and he said all those other, jackholes that said they did not watch Elimination Chamber and said, oh, I only watch AEW, all the AEW wrestlers, I don't watch WWE. It's a lie, and if it's not a lie, then you're stupid. You have to be a student of the game. And he was praising how WWE turned John Cena heel. And he said it was a big moment. And then on AEW Dynamite, you saw MJF wearing a shirt that said MJF did nothing wrong. Kind of reminds you of when Kevin Owens was wearing a shirt during his little stint, during his little feud with Cody Rhodes about Kevin Owens was right or something like that. They play off each other. Professional wrestling, they look at something Can Kevin Owens kind of be like an MJF? Yeah, I feel like he can. Kevin Owens definitely, he does have the mic skills. He's funny. He does have he doesn't, not really necessarily the look of your standard professional wrestler, but Kevin Owens, he's loved a lot. He's loved a lot, 1,010%. Much like MJF. MJF, he's loved a lot. He's liked. Backstage in AEW, he's one of the most likable wrestlers. Backstage in AEW, traveling and stuff like that. He's the more or less just like the cornerstone. He's the most reliable to kind of, Tony Khan would be like, okay, I need this and that and the other. This show needs to be hot, out of the water. Fans need to want to, jump out of their, out of their pants. They want to literally grab their wallet and pay for the next 6 to 7 AEW PLEs from pay-per-view. We want that debit card, like, jumping out of their wallets, spending it. I'm just kidding. No, but overall, like, that's what MJF literally can do for, wherever he is. Wherever, he loves wrestling, so I definitely thought that was, pretty awesome. Some of the highest paid wrestlers in professional wrestling, we'll start with WWE. We have Drew McIntyre sitting at about $8 million a year, which is pretty. That's a lot of money. Seth Rollins at $9 million. Randy Orton literally signing he signed a contract last year to become the highest paid wrestler in professional wrestling history. Salary wise, I believe, but yearly it seems like he's making about $10 million. Cody Rhodes $10 million as well. Roman Reigns at $15 million. AEW paying Jon Moxley $6 million. Chris Jericho $5 million. Mercedes Moné $5 million. Kazuchika Okada $4.5 million. Kenny Omega $3 million. And MJF rumored to be getting paid $15 million plus. Wow. That's a lot of quiche. It's a lot of quiche. But literally, if you're Tony Khan, what choice do you have? What choice do you have? You cannot lose MJF. You can't lose MJF. You lost Cody Rhodes. You lost CM Punk. You lost about 500,000 viewers weekly on Dynamite. That's no bueno. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You literally had to go from selling out stadiums. Like AEW Revolution could have been like at a ballpark or something like that. And Crypto.com Arena could have been the Dynamite before Revolution. But because you lost all your top talent, man. Now you're sick to selling out like little theaters. Like I said, which isn't bad. Which is cool. I don't mind that whatsoever because I'm a little theater kind of guy. But you're not drawing in those big numbers anymore. You're just not. You lost a lot of your talent based on backstage politics. Tony, I get it. He's the age where he is. I used to manage a restaurant, and when you're the same age as somebody, or you're younger than somebody, and you're put in a predicament, you're put in a spot where you have to delegate, where you have to tell them what to do. You have to tell them what they're doing wrong. Although, I've been doing this for years and nobody's telling you what to do. People have been doing this for sometimes you got to be the bad guy. And, a lot of people, they love their boss. They love Tony Khan backstage. They love him. But, sometimes like Triple H, you're not necessarily going to be the most liked, but you have to be the most respected. So maybe a little bit had to do with a little bit of backstage politics. Why Cody Rhodes, who helped you start AEW, a person that would help you start a company, you'd be like, damn, I don't think that person would ever leave that company that he helped start. Guess what? He left. CM Punk never returned into WWE. Like Seth Rollins said, every single time he had a chance to torch it down, he was hoping to torch it down, with the fans chanting CM Punk. He was hoping, that Vince McMahon would, run WWE into the ground, which he was damn near going to do. But it's, I don't want to call it the luck of the draw because I do believe in luck. I do. Sometimes I do feel like you create your own luck. But, they lost a lot of top guys. And, sometimes you kind of have to look in the mirror a little bit. But I feel like like I said, a huge reason why they signed MJF to such a huge contract. He's only 20. He's only 28 years old. He's going to be the future of All Elite Wrestling, and at this point, they definitely, they need him to continue to be absolutely awesome. And if anybody could pick up a huge contract, MJF would be definitely it in All Elite Wrestling. All right, guys, so we do not go anywhere. We got one final segment, and I'll let you guys out of here. Ran super long today. Totally apologize. We're going to talk about WWE Evolved. It aired live on Tubi Wednesday night. We're going to go through some of the overall content, some of the characters, and storylines, future storylines. Who's going to make it out, and who's going to be crowned the champion probably later on down the line. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere.